This upcoming December 5th marks the 50th anniversary of the greatest fan invasion in the history of sports. The 1976 Invasão do Maracanã is one of the most legendary stories in South American football. The ultimate testament of fan culture in the largest peacetime human displacement in sports history. Now, in this matchup, we had Fluminense, a máquina tricolor, and Corinthians, the ultimate underdog. Corinthians were known as o Clube do Povo, the club of the people, and they are located in São Paulo, the most populated city in all of Brazil. And within that city, they had the largest fan base. Yet this fan base was suffocating under a painful 22-year title drought. The fans weren't just hungry, they were starving for a title. Managed by Duque, they possess an incredible defensive grit with a deeply physical midfield. On the other side, we had the famous Máquina Tricolor, a team that didn't just play football. Their matches were like a musical recital, filled with icons of the game like Carlos Alberto Torres, famous captain of the Brazilian national team, and Roberto Rivelino. Managed by Mario Travagnini, they played an elegant possession-style based football. Fluminense were heavily favored in this matchup. To add even more fuel to the fire in this matchup, there were two huge factors. Rivelino, Fluminense's midfield maestro, was driven out of Corinthians, where he previously played, after losing a Paulista final to great rivals. And the fans began to blame him for their continued drought. So he packed his bags, he left São Paulo, and he went over to Fluminense in Rio de Janeiro. Now, if that psychological part of the game wasn't enough, there was even more. Fluminense's president, Francisco Horta, had come to an agreement with Corinthians president Vicente Mateus. He sent over 70,000 tickets to São Paulo, in which Corinthians paid for in advance. And he had the famous quote, que os vivos saiam de casa e os mortos saiam das tumbas para torcer para o Corinthians, no Maracanã. Porque o Fluminense vai ganhar a partida. To translate that, may the living come out of their houses and may the dead rise from their graves to cheer for Corinthians at the Maracanã, because Fluminense is going to win the match. He never in his wildest dreams thought all the tickets would be used. That's where he was mistaken. All the tickets were used, all the tickets were sold, and an estimated 70,000 Corintianos made their way down the Via Dutra from São Paulo to Rio de Janeiro, traveling 450 kilometers. The highway was overtaken by a wave of black and white. People did whatever it took to make it to the Maracanã. They packed buses, those who could went on planes, they drove their own cars, some even went on taxis. And it's rumored some people even went on their bicycles, although I don't know how much of that is true. The highway was packed. The Corinthians fans were able to split one of the most iconic stadiums in the world right down the middle. They turned an away match into a neutral ground. Now, on the day of the match, December 5th, 1976, there was torrential downpour in Rio de Janeiro. The pitch was turned into a mud sheet, a factor that would ultimately level the playing field for a significantly less technical side that Corinthians had. It was a matchup that we saw between the elite and the grinders. Fluminense, we could say, were a Ferrari, while Corinthians were a reliable, battle-tested tractor. The official attendance of the match was just over 146,000 fans, with 70,000 of those Corinthians fans. Fluminense struck first in the match in the 29th minute when Pintinho opened up to make it 1-0. The equalizer in that match came immediately in the same 29th minute. Off of a corner kick, Corinthians' famous midfielder Russo was able to pull off a bicycle kick to bring the score level, a true golaço. As the rain continued to pour down in the second half, there wasn't much football played. It was so difficult. But the referee did not want to call the match to a halt. He didn't want to interrupt what had already began. Corinthians' defense held firm in the second half, as not much football was actually played. This match would be decided by penalty kicks. Corinthians goalie Tobias would save 2 spot kicks, turning him into an eternal hero as Corinthians scored all 4 of their kicks. The unthinkable had happened. The gritty underdogs had beaten and eliminated the Máquina Tricolor in the semifinal of the Campeonato Brasileiro. This wasn't just a win. It completely changed how fan culture was viewed in Brazil. It proved that a fan base could both physically and psychologically shift favor in a match. The Corinthians faithful, known as the Fiel Torcida, permanently marked themselves in football fan history. However, such a historic moment for both the club and the fan base would have a tragic ending. Corinthians ultimately lost the final of the Campeonato Brasileiro to Internacional. The 22-year drought did not end. Fans did not get their highly deserved prize. Yet, till this day, the Invasão remains more famous than the actual title winner that year, showing that some football milestones transcend trophies. So, you tell me, what do you think? Do football fans really make a difference?